Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm really excited. This is my first talk on generative AI, and don't worry, I'm not going to put a lot of coding and stuff. This is going to be something which is non-technical and a little practical. So, what I would actually want to solve our own problems. Now, if we solve the problems that we have, okay, it'll be easy for us to implement the same thing throughout the company. So as far as possible, I have the generative AI, LLMs, and other things that are set up in my laptop. So at the end, I will just show you a short demo. That's going to be the things that I have done for solving my issues. So here, welcome to the talk on generative AI, a simple world or a complex world simplified. Okay, so it's quite simple for me. So, about me, I have over 17 years of experience. So, I've worked in almost a lot of roles in the IT industry. So, I'm really passionate about technology and innovation. So, I've done a lot of work towards the operation side and towards the development side. Currently, I'm a project manager and a senior consultant for Blueprint Technologies. So, you can use this QR code and connect with me over LinkedIn. I'll keep it on for 2 minutes. So I'm pretty curious about. I was pretty curious about generative AI, and Ajit really asked me to make a generative AI thing. So I regularly attend this Collabnix and Docker community events. So I was a member since 2017. It's been a wonderful journey throughout, and a lot of stuff that we learn here, uh, especially. So, moving on to today's talk, we're going to talk about, you know, an introduction to generative AI, when to use generative AI. I mean, that's one of the burning questions that everybody has. You know, I have generative AI. Can I use it to open my tab? Can I use it for AC? So that's not the case. So we really need to use the right set of tools for the right set of things that we want. And it's completely subjective and personalized. That's what is the beauty about generative AI. Okay. So we know that AI, if I have to speak in a very humorous way, is nothing than a glorified calculator. Nothing more than that, right? So it's a machine that does some things with rules and stuff. So people started becoming more lazy and said, hey, why not I add intelligence to it? Why not make it think like humans? Why not make it do more stuff? So once it started doing a lot of things, then we started looking at what is the metrics. Like say for example, if I'm asking AI to do something, is it doing the right way? I guess many of you might be thinking about your managers and say, "Hey, what is your productivity? Are you doing solving more bugs? Are you creating more tickets? Are you creating more features?" This is what. So something like that we have to also, because we are the master of all the machines, right? We are the master and it is a slave. So we have to make sure that it does things and it's really useful for how it is. Then we look at some comparisons. Okay, now in the AI market, there are a lot of AI models and etc. released. So how to choose the right one? What are the things that I have to remember while choosing the right one? Okay. Next, we are going to talk about a little bit AI models and platforms that we can use. Now that we have AI models, we have also platforms that say serve it as a service for us. Okay. Then one of the most important topics, prompt engineering. Okay, so it's like one of the most important things that everybody would be emphasizing throughout. I think some of your managers will be saying, "Hey, dude, you need to work on your communication, man," or the way you write your emails. So the same way goes to generative AI as well. So even if you communicate the right way, then the generative AI or whatever AI can do wonders to you. If not, it's going to be a little hard. Then we're going to look at some tools. I'm just going to point out directions. I'm not going to go in depth on this. I'm going to point out directions and plant the seed of curiosity in all your minds, so that you can go back home and say, hey, you know what, Ravi told me this. Why don't I try this tool? Why don't I use this in this part of my workflow or this part of my work? Okay, then yes, we'll have a short demo. So, like every other presentation, let me start with a little bit of history. Okay, so evolution of artificial intelligence. So I'm not going to go one by one. It's just a general talk for you guys. You can see the artifacts. Okay, like as I told, it's just a glorified uh, calculator. So Alan Turing, who's supposed to be the father of artificial intelligence, he actually thought, when machines can do our work, why not make it think and be like humans? This has positive aspects as well as negative aspects also. So there was a lot of research, but we did not have any kind of infrastructure to support this. So in the early, or I would say the late 2000s, that is where we got a lot of juice to work through this through the infrastructure and boom of cloud computing. Later, what really made it worth it was the transformers. So I have a small section about transformers. We'll discuss more about that, and that is where our GPT comes into picture. So I hope most of you would know what is GPT, but still I'll repeat myself. So generative pre-trained transformers. So already have pre-trained information, and they can generate, whatever stuff that we have. So I don't want to, put the entire presentation here, but yeah, we'll talk about it. So hold on to that point. And now we are at, OpenAI's GPT-o1 preview, which can compete with PhD holders. So it can over or surpass, the PhD holders thinking in terms of development, reasoning, etc. So we are at that point from where we were doing a simple Turing test. So if any of you are curious of what the Turing test is, please Google it. It's actually very simple, and from that level of basic testing, we have come to this point. Okay, so moving on. Introduction to generative AI. So, what is AI? Okay, so it refers to how do you say, simulation of human intelligence. I'm sorry. Okay, of programming machine. So I'm sure most of you know, but the important point here is there are two kinds of AI. Okay, one is a discriminative AI and another is a generative AI. So what does the discriminative AI do? It says, hey, this is a cat, this is a dog, this is a white cat, this is a black dog, etc., etc. Okay, it discriminates whatever information it gives and kinds of predicts information out of it. We can say that. Okay, another thing is generate. We say generate me a cyan colored cat. Nobody will find a cyan colored cat. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that generative AI can do. So a subset of that is machine learning. So in machine learning, again, it's a subset where we say, okay, only do a specific task and a specific set of data. So we have some algorithms planned for it and say, hey, you can do only this. Okay, it's like, for example, AI is human. I'm giving an analogy. It may be a little funny, but please excuse me if it was a little dark humor as well. So, think of machine learning as a fish or a monkey or something else. So you can't go and ask a monkey to swim as fast as a fish, okay, or a fish to jump around trees. Okay, so similarly, in machine learning, we have certain algorithms and data that is kept. So that's for a specific task, and we have to really put a lot of data and think about the algorithms and do quite a lot of stuff around it. So with machine learning, we actually would learn from data. We can do predictive analytics, um, and build different algorithms to solve specific problems. Okay. So next comes the neural network. So neural network is similar to what our brain functions. It has neurons, it has nodes, it has a function, it has connections. So different neurons would have different functions and different weightages. So based on that, the transformer and a brain-like structure would build. So this is just an overview. I have a section on that as well. Okay, so it's kind of the place where we start building the brain. So initially we were just looking at data, we were looking at algorithms. Now we look how to connect them together and make um, you know a brain that can think all on itself. Okay, then comes generative AI. So with generative AI, you can create any kind of images, any kind of audio, any kind of video, and text-based things. So usually for our text-based stuff, what we call text and audio, what we call as natural language processing, there is something called large language models. So with this, we will generate whatever text we ask it. We can say, hey, you know what, generate an HTML file that will show me my picture, or give me a Python code that will tell me what's the temperature in Bangalore, so etc. So we can generate things like that. So you can see from the point where we are analyzing to making a brain and a thinking brain to a point where we are getting work done out of the brain. So that's where we come to the generative AI. So here's actually a tabular thing of the same thing. So I will go to a more visual explanation because I'm a visual learner. A picture speaks 1,000 words. So say let's say I have a AI. I give it one input. I put it into a black box, and it does some kind of processing. Okay, it's rule based or whatever algorithm based, and then it gives me a particular output. That is with respect to AI. If I talk about ML, I'm going to go a little bit more deeper into it with supervised learning. So here I have labeled data or information. So I'm going to take an image and say, hey, this is the image of a cat. Learn from this image. So I'll feed it multiple images of a cat, and then ask it to be able to distinguish between a cat or a dog or any other animal, or say whether it's a cat or not. Okay. So unsupervised learning. Here I don't have any label data. I'm just going to give it random stuff, and from based on whatever its experience is, it is going to pick up and start, giving me the output for it. Finally, I have what is called as reinforcement learning. So this is like a mixture of both. There'll be a human person who will say, hey, this is the image of a dog, but you would recognize it as a cat. So please correct it. It will take that information and it will correct itself through the experience, and will have reinforcement learning. So this is how we will be able to, tune a couple of things. So here comes the interesting part, the next one, which is with respect to transformers. Okay, so neural network or deep learning. So until now we were just telling it, hey, take this, take that, and see how it works. So in neural network, what we do is we start creating a node. Okay, what you see as a circle here, the circle has a function, or we can say it's as a node that has a particular function and it has a particular weightage. Okay, and then these lines are nothing but connection or connecting lines between different nodes. So every node has a function, it has a weightage. So there's going to be a combination of different nodes connected in different ways. And this is what we get as a neural layer network. This is where the evolution of transformers comes into picture. So you can see how transformers is actually generating from the input, making sense, and generating the output. So different layers in which these things happen. So each layer has its own level of independence. I mean, independent decision making or thought process that we have imbibed into it. Like for example, if I say a cat, I say a cat has whiskers, a cat has this kind of hair, a cat has this kind of colors. A cat will not be in cyan color. That's a very weird color. I have never seen a cyan color cat till now. So these are some of these rules I'm going to do. So as far as possible, I'm trying to keep the topic very light in terms of the technical part and more in terms of understanding what it is. Nowadays, when we have to explain what is generative AI to our people in the management or any other person for that matter, it becomes so difficult because we bring in all the statistic equations. We say a function of this, integral of that, and what more statistical stuff all around. So instead, this is a very simple way that we can conceptually understand what is the neural network and transformers. Okay, So now, after having such a neural network, imagine millions of such neural network. Can you picture it? If not, this is it. Okay, so this is our brain, which has millions of neural networks, where what you see in this place, you see that happening in milliseconds, nanoseconds. So we are going to simulate this in our artificial intelligence or our generative AI. So basically, we are doing this in generative AI. Now, next question. Okay, all this is fine, Ravi, but how does this AI system actually process the data and provide the information? Right? That's a wonderful question. I'm telling it in English. How the hell does it understand all these things? Or I'm writing some gibberish, I'm giving it some nonsense, or I'm feeding it a log file. I'm giving it a random problem from my Kubernetes or Docker cluster. How the hell is it able to figure it out? Okay. So answer is very simple. It's going to represent all the data that we have in the form of numbers. Okay, and these numbers are going to be different kinds of nodes, and the connection between them is going to be in a certain pattern. So this pattern is unique every time. It creates new patterns when and how it does. So I'm going to show you a simple example for this. So you can see the 3D image of RGB. I'm sure all of us know what is RGB. If you don't know, it's red, green, blue. So the color combination of this gives a different color. So the color combinations from 0 to 255 for RGB, that is red, green, and blue. If I have 100 R and 50 blue and 60 green, it gives me a different color. So similarly, you can see these are the um, you know graph. So to make it a little bit more interesting, where is that? Yep. So can you guys see this? So I just made a small HTML file using generative AI. I will tell you about the prompt for this. I made it in 5 minutes. Okay, within 5 minutes. So if I select this particular node, it's going to tell me X, Y, Z. Different axes. We have heard about it in our school as well, right? So x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. What are these? These are actually vectors. Okay, so each of them have a function, and these functions have a weightage. Okay, now we can see how the color changes when the value of red, green, blue is different here. Okay, so I can just randomize this, bring it up. So this is how my data is represented. Okay, so moving on to our presentation. Oops, I'm sorry. Let us go to this and this. Okay, so this is the vectorized information. I'm just showing in 3 dimensions. There can be many dimensions of it. Okay, so each dimension has its weightage, has its function. So this can be defined in a lot of mathematical terms and algorithms and all the other stuff. But the base idea is this. Okay, so it'll look something like this. What you see here, different vectors in different spaces. Okay, so it's going to be a vector that has so many directions. I cannot imagine how it's going to look, but I just try to make a close thing like how it might look. Okay, so next thing, this is going to be a really interesting one because you can go to this particular link. Mm, okay, sorry, my bad. RGB. Give me a minute. Sorry about this. Okay. Now you see this, right? Now here, this is what is going to be the embedding. Okay, whenever we have many vectors, they are going to be placed in a particular manner, or a particular pattern, which we can call as embedding here. Okay, so here I'm seeing a transformer tool. Now, for example, I like no, I don't like dogs, because, and when I hit the generate button, it is going to automatically generate this information, because, and give me the probability. So what is the next word that I'm going to predict? So basically, when we look at a generative AI, when I'm writing something, it's going to say, okay, what is the next word that I'm going to predict out of this? And say if I go to this particular place, this is going to show me some vector calculation. This is all for the fancy tech stuff, guys. So whoever is interested, please, you can just trip over this. So you can see different layers, what is happening, and finally, it's going through a lot of. It's taking each and every word and letter and assigning it a particular weight. Doing a lot of operations here. It is also, kind of vectorizing it in different spaces. You see the RGB kind of a thing. What I told you here. So similarly, it is doing that here as well. So, oh God, my mouse is not moving. Huh. So this is the kind of calculation that you see is happening. It's visualizing what what are the different ways it can categorize it, arrive to patterns, get to vectors. This is the kind of thing. Just a small demo on this. You guys can look up this particular website. This would be useful for you in case you want to know more about this vectorization and other things. Yeah, here we were. Okay, so next step, what are the capabilities? Now, fine, I understand this is AI, this is vectors, these are the things it can do, etc. But what are its capabilities? Okay, so it can generate any kind of text, can generate any kind of audio, it can generate any kind of video. Okay, and what in text can it generate, and video and audio can it generate? So it can generate articles, white papers, any kind of code, any kind of script. So, for example, if you suddenly don't know what is the command to know what is my Wi-Fi password, I forgot my Wi-Fi password. So, yeah, you can just ask that command very quickly and it will give you that. Or what is the command to search for dot Excel files in my thing? That's like a very quick thing that we can do. So, generative AI is something that is a foundation. It cannot do the entire stuff. It can start off and spark the fire, but you need to keep the fire on and keep burning on it. Okay, so next thing is audio. So speech to text. Whenever you speak anything, it's going to convert it to text. I'm sure all of you have WhatsApp, and all the Android phones or iOS phones, when you click a button, it's going to say, when you say something, it's going to type it. Or all of you might have worked with Siri or Google One. You say, "Hey Google," or you say, "Hey Siri," and it understands whatever you say and responds back as well. So these are something that are part of the normal AI as well as the generative AI. Then you go to video. So you have text to images. So you can have different. You can say, "Hey, make a video of a dog jumping from Eiffel Tower," or something crazy like that. So it's going to generate a video out of it. So basically, these are some of the capabilities. Now we know what is AI. We know how it is kind of getting to know these things, and what are its capabilities. Next big question is, when do I use AI? I cannot use AI for everything, right? It's like having a nuclear bomb to light your gas stove. So you need to really think about which AI and where do I use it, where I will get more attention on this. Okay, so stuff like automating repetitive tasks. For example, if I have to write a configuration file, XML file, which is huge, okay, I need to really tell the AI, hey, you know what, write this XML file for me. This XML file, all you pretty much do is do a control F and change it. And then suddenly your managers or architect says, I don't like XML, let me do it in JSON. So you got to sit and write the whole thing back. Instead of it, you can ask generative AI to do it. Or somebody says, I want the RCA of why the cluster failed yesterday. You have to go and check back the entire log system, go back to Splunk, go this, do that. It's going to be really hectic. Rather than that, you can say AI, hey, you know what, analyze and tell me from where I can start off so that I can, go through that. That's where we look at logs or enhancing our decision making. Now, with respect to personalizing our experience, we've already worked with Siri or Hey Google, and I guess most of it is already live, where you say, Hey Google, turn off the light. Hey Google, turn off the refrigerator, or turn on this, etc., etc. Okay, so that's something that we can use. So improving accuracy and efficiency. So I'll talk about this in my use case where, you know I'm a project manager. I handle about 8 to 10 projects, and there are projects where I don't know technically what is the next thing to do. So rather than me going and learning all the subjects and sitting one by one all the people, I have just a ticket dump, and I can just go ask AI, hey, what is what's the next best thing or a best advice you can give me on this particular ticket, or what have you understood out of this issue. That way it helps me to pretty much navigate, and sometimes I'm clueless on how a particular issue has come and how to start off with it. So this is where the generative AI would help. Okay, so yeah, all this sounds very fancy, very interesting. How do we measure it? Okay, so I come from a Six Sigma background. I've done a couple of Six Sigma projects. So when I say good, I just don't agree for good. It says how good is good and how bad is bad. That's how we can make it. So if you say something is good, is it good, is it is it above good, or is it excellent? How do we get that? Only by metrics. What are the metrics that is there? That is what shows us. Now, if you are also going to talk about, I think it's appraisal time for most of us. So when you're going to talk about appraisal, you just make sure that, hey, you know what? This is the amount of good I did. Okay. I solved 90% of the bugs. I created 100% of the features. So 90% of the features were all bugs. Okay. So I'm just kidding. That's the kind of thing that we have to bring up. So there are three simple metrics. I'm not going to, boggle down with this algorithm, that algorithm. This is the number, that is the number. No, I'm going to talk about three simple things: quality, speed, price. This is what everybody looks at. Is the quality of output what I want? Do I get it in time? Is the price viable? Okay. So if you have to go from here to the Banargata main road, you probably pick up an auto. But if you have to go from here to Chennai, will you pick an auto? So although the price is less, the quality is not going to be a match for us. Okay. For that matter, we cannot say, okay, I want to go to the other side of the city, it's the airport. Let me hire a helicopter because it's available here. Okay, so that's not the case. We say we'll probably pick up a cab, which is going to be, a good thing for price. So we'll talk about this in our next upcoming slides, where I'm going to discuss about different models and what is the quality and things that we measure inside it. Okay. Now, say when we go to generative AI, all of you might be pretty much familiar with the number of tokens. What are tokens? They're just chunks of data which are going to be converted into the vector space, what we discussed some time back. Okay. So how many number of tokens can a generative AI accept as input? How many millions of tokens can a generative AI accept as output? Now, why is this important? Because, for example, I wanted to study a document of 1,000 pages. It's going to be huge, right? The number of tokens generated out of it is going to be huge. It should have the capability to ingest so much amount of tokens and give me the required output. Okay, so I'm sure most of you might have gone this through ChatGPT. You would have written, okay, generate a code that will give me a to-do list app, or some crazy app that you want to build, and you say, okay, let's do it. And half the way around, it stops. Right? Most of you might have seen this. Even I've seen this. Okay, so that should not happen. That's our output token. That's our problem statement. We should have that. data. So this is really affecting my quality. Or am I getting the right output? Am I getting enough output? This is important, and the price for it. Okay, so what if I have to pay thousands of dollars for something that I'm just trying? No, no, I don't want to do that. Okay, so yeah, we'll do a comparison of popular AI systems. Okay, so this is like, there should be multiple AIs. I didn't get a picture like that. So next. So yeah, this is something that is really cool. Okay, so quality, speed, and price. So you can see that the O1 preview, which is the latest one that's released 2 weeks back. Okay, it has the highest amount of quality here. Okay, all this data is available in this artificialanalysis.ai. It's a wonderful website. You can visit this. This is on the homepage itself. Okay, next you look at the speed. Okay, this is defined per second. How many millions of tokens it can generate. So you can see this number of tokens generated is very high. But if I go to the OpenAI O1, see it has very less tokens. So that means if I give it a very complex problem and confuse it, it's just going to keep thinking, not give me the output. Okay, so I need to really understand that. So we'll come to that point where how we have to talk to AI. That's also another point that's coming up in my talk. Okay, so next thing is price. If you see the open AI price, that's the highest, okay, per million tokens. So you're going to pay $26, okay, for a million token. My God. Okay, so at the other end, you can see that the Gemini 1.5 and Flash, it's almost free. Okay, so if you guys want to sign up, just go to the Google AI Studio, sign up. You get 20 million tokens for a month. Okay, so just go high on AI and Google. Okay, so I'm going to tell you how you can get high on that in a couple of minutes, where the setup is very simple. Okay, very simple. I did it pretty easily. Okay, next thing, we're talking about quality. Okay, now when it comes to quality, what are the things that is important in quality? Okay, so this is the analysis. So you can see still O1 preview leads it. Google is somewhere okay. I mean, 85 and 72 I can manage, but I cannot manage 46. I'm okay to this much level of quality thing. Now there'll be certain tasks where I want to reason what is the thing. Like for example, I give it a white paper and say summarize and give me top 10 points. So it has to reason which are the top 10 points, why it is the top 10 points, etc. So that's where the reasoning comes. So scientific reasoning, this is a different thing, which is where O1 preview really hits the mark. Okay, so already white papers are really boring and a long it takes a long time to read. But if you go to scientific reasoning, it's going to be even more higher. Okay, so these are some of the things that we would like AI to work on. Now, say when we have to read 1,000 page or a 10,000 page document and give reasons, or generate a lot of code looking at different reasons, it's going to be difficult for us, and it's quite what do you say, repetitive. So in these places we can use AI to do it. Okay, so these are, and coding, my God. Okay, this is like, you check out the O1 preview, it's 95%. Okay. The HTML file that I just showed you of the 3D graph, I generated with the prompt. It's a 83-line code. Can you believe it? I'll show you about the prompt later. Okay. So, and different parameters. So you can go, and this website gives you even more details around this. So next thing is quality versus price. Okay, you've got a super quality. Okay, you want a precious shoes. I can't have a diamond studded shoes, right? I need to look at my budget. So in that way, if you look at this, bigger the circle, okay, higher the price. Okay, and you can see the quality of this. If you see the O1 mini, that has the highest dot, or if you come here, O1 preview, you can see the price. It's the highest. It's around $28, close to 28, $26 we saw before. So it's coming close to $28. So if you see in that way, our Llama 3.1, our Gemini, okay, these are all pretty affordable. And they have a good quality as well in most of it here. So next is output speed. Okay, so if you see the output speed, this is the quality is really excellent. The output speed is less, but the price is really high. So bigger the circle, higher the price. So if you see in that way, our Gemma, Llama, all these things are pretty much good because their output size is huge. We can see here, our speed is pretty good, and the quality is also manageable. I mean, we are not asking for some super expert quality stuff to do what we do. Okay, now if I have to look at my own ticket analysis and say, hey, you know what, get me what is the number of tickets I have, tell me who's handling what is the status of this. I don't need something that is top notch quality. Something above 50% will still work for me. Okay, so this is one more parameter that we have to define and say, hey, this task requires this much amount of quality, so that's the price we need to pay for it. Okay. So again, the same part. If you see Google Gemini, this is going to be one of the biggest factors. Okay, you guys can really play around with the Gemini Pro in the Google um, AI Studio. Sign up for it. You get quite a lot of tokens, man. You can really play around a lot inside this. Okay. So latency. This is also one more important factor, right? It's sitting in somewhere in some cloud where I don't know which data center it is. By the time it reaches me, if it takes too much of time, then it's going to be difficult. What if I build a pipeline and this is waiting for information from the LLM and then it does it. So the O1 preview here has the highest amount of latency. The reason why it has latency is because it is thinking iteratively in loops. It has a higher reasoning capacity. That is the reason it has this much amount of latency, which is built purposely so that it gets a higher reasoning. So in the same way, if you see Mistral, Llama, Google, all these guys have pretty pretty low latencies. So these can be used for our redundant uh, tasks. Okay. So again, the same part. What we are going to talk about, I'm not going to bore you with this. Already, many people look bored. All right. So now let's talk about a couple of AI platforms. Okay. So I got to know. Okay, this is how AI works. This is what generative AI does, and also I got to know. Okay, this is the pricing. This is where I need to focus on things, etc. Then how do I start using it right away? I know all these things, but how do I implement it? How do I use it? How do I do all these things and tell my manager or tell my colleagues, hey, you know what, this is really cool, I did this and this helped me automate a lot of stuff that I have. Okay, so we're going to primarily look at three things. One is Hugging Face, one is Grok, and one is AI Studio, Google AI Studio, which is one of the models that we're going to look at. Okay. So how to use huggingface.co? Pretty simple. Just go there, sign up, and then you will be able to explore the um features. So let me quickly do that for you guys. I'm just going to go to Hugging Face. Okay, so I've already logged in. So when you go to Hugging Face, you can notice this top part of the screen. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Where is zoom? Yeah. Okay. Pretty much visible now, right? Okay. So these are models, data sets, spaces, docs, and pricing. So let's not concentrate on this. Let's concentrate on these three things. So when we look at models, data sets, and spaces, now what are models? Now we just talked about Google, Gemini, OpenAI, O1 Preview. What are all these? These are nothing but rule-based engines which are already trained on massive amount of data. We just need to take it and use it how we want to use it. Okay. Imagine, you know, Einstein is with you virtually always. What will you do? You will say, hey, Einstein, Do you know what I can do for this? Do you know what are the top 5 dishes that I can cook with this ingredients? Uh, the real Einstein would give you a slap. But our Einstein, which is our model, okay, this will very clearly answer all our queries and will be very patient. So it is up to our smartness that we utilize Einstein to whatever task or get the data from Einstein. So these are nothing but models. So when once we go to the models, I'm going to click on this. Okay, so there's going to be a set of tasks that is possible through this model. Okay, so I can go multimodal. Multimodal is all the ways we talked about it: audio, text, speech. Okay, then comes computer vision. Okay, computer vision is looking at images, object detection. Okay, text to image, image segmentation, etc. Okay, so anything to do with images, I can just put it in a plain manner. You guys can go and specifically pick on this. I'm not going to explain all the topics inside this. Next is the natural language processing. Okay, so natural language processing helps us in whatever we speak to do things like text classifications, tokens, generate tokens, okay, summarization, okay, text generation, etc., or fill a sentence, predict what is going to come next. Next thing is audio. Okay, so these are all different tasks that are available for you. So reinforcement learning, graph machine learning, there are quite a lot. Okay, so if you go with this, there are actually almost 97 lakh models already. I'm sorry, 9 lakh models that are already present inside this. So you can sort by which is trending, most downloads, etc. So let me pick up something that is useful for me. So I'll say text. Mm, I'll directly go to this, computer vision, natural language processing. I'm going to go to summarization. So when I get some text, I want to easily summarize that. So I go to which is the top model here. Okay, it has so many downloads, almost 4 million downloads, and it has almost so many people liking it. So mostly it is meeting all of their expectations. Let me say, okay, Facebook. So this is the possible Facebook BART. This is the name of the large language model that is present. Okay, so these are the things that it can do. So it's gonna talk about a lot of tech stuff. I'm just going to wipe through it. This is just for you to understand how to use the model and how to build a quick POC of something. Okay, so here we'll have what is having the model card, which is going to give you the description of this. It is also going to tell you how to use this particular model. Okay, so I'll touch base on this part as well. So it's going to talk about a lot of metrics that are available in it, and then at towards this side you can see train, deploy, and use this model. So when I hit on the deploy button, I can see different places where I can use this. Okay, of course Hugging Face has an API. We can, since this is a very basic session, I'm not going to touch base on APIs or advanced topics, just telling it at a very high level here. Okay, so you can deploy it on these places. Now if I want to use this model, okay, everybody must be if some of you are not aware, there's a particular module called as transformers. These transformers are um, you know something like PyTorch or super higher than them. Okay, so if I want to use transformers, it's going to be as simple as this. I'm going to write only freaking 4 lines of code and get whatever I want. Okay. Of course, you must install transformers library, pip install transformers or Hugging Face transformers. So I will import what is called as a pipeline. And what is the name of the task? Summarization. Okay. What is a model? This is the name of the model. We saw that in the previous page. Okay. Then I want to load this model and convert some things into tokens. And after converting this into tokens, I can actually run the entire thing. So the best part is go click on this, read about this particular model. So this is not only this model, you have all the other models that are available towards the side. So we can put any of these models and read through this. So These are some of the features that you want inside the model. These are and the parameters, of course. This many parameters are there. Time. Okay, give me like 2 minutes. Let me finish it. So similarly, I will show you the other things. Let me go quickly. Give me like just 2 more minutes. Okay. So next is generative AI on Olama. So we can download Olama from this page. We can do a local setup, or we can run it on a Docker container. If you see this, if you go to this website, which is Collabnix website maintained by Rajit and community here, so that gives us details on how to set up Olama, how to make it CPU usage, or GPU usage as well. So something like this would be the output for you. So you can choose different models inside it and build a local system that is a Olama system for you. Okay. So next is prompt engineering. So if you look at this, just examine this properly. If you ask the question, how many R's are there in a strawberry? Any LLM, even you can pick up your WhatsApp. There's a Llama AI, right, with a blue circle. Click that and ask this question the same way. How many R's are there in the word strawberry? It will tell you two. But if you put the right prompt, count the number of letter R in the word strawberry. It will come back and tell you it's three. So without the right way of communication, even an LLM cannot help you out. Okay, so we're going to talk about prompt engineering, and here we are going to talk about zero shot prompts. This is like, I just give one prompt and it's going, all the information is already there inside the prompt. I don't need to give it more information. It directly spits out the output. Next thing is few shot. I tell it part of the instruction, then again I keep asking it more and more questions. So when I ask these questions, it's going to give me more information. Then I chain different kinds of thoughts. I say, okay, you build a presentation for me, and when you build it, run it through 2 or 3 iterations, and in this iteration I want you to follow ABCD steps. That is going to be a chain of steps. Okay, so meta and self consistency is a little complicated. I think we are out of time, so you can go to this prompting guide. Okay, prompting guide techniques. This is by OpenAI. This is really nice. You can look through this. So whatever I explained to you now in the prompting is here. So next thing is with respect to what are the tools that we can use for this. So when we talk about tools, because I don't I enjoy coding, but with respect to the time, it's very less time that we can actually build something to debug, write the code, pick up this language, think of that language, etc., etc. Instead, there are tools like LangChain, Langsmith, okay, Langflow, Flowwise, okay, n8n.io, okay, LangGraph. LangGraph is available only for Mac. Okay, LangChain is a textual thing, but apart from it, pretty much the others are all GUI based stuff where you can take information from the LLM and make it generate that particular code. Okay, so just give me 1 more minute. Okay, so here I will show you skip. I will show you a quick example. I actually wanted to do more, but unfortunately we are out of time. Okay, so this is my local instance of Llama. Okay, and you can see there are different models that I can set up from here. I can choose whichever model I want, and based on the modality. Here in the workspaces, I can limit to whichever model I want my user to complete. And if I want some prompts, I can quickly do that. If I want it to have some documents where I need to build a RAG system, I don't need to do 100 lines of code or something. I can just drop it here and pick it up. Next is tools. Now I want this Olama to actually go and pick up a YouTube video and summarize it for me. So this is pretty much available in the Olama websites. Okay, so due to shortage of time, I'm just running through this. So here I've also had a weather generator where it's going to tell me what is the weather by going to a particular website, OpenAPI website. It can interact with APIs. Okay, so you can build tools and the syntax is pretty straightforward. Okay, you need to have the required models for it. You need to build a class, which is this, and then start defining the functions. That's going to be the pretty much thing around this. Olama, so you can go and explore the admin features in the in the settings and admin settings. Here you can connect to different models or connections. So for example, I have the open API. So if I enable this open API, I can put the connection here and run through this. So this Olama is running through my Docker. Okay, and I can also run through this things. You can put grok, you can put quite a lot of other stuff. And with respect to the no code thing that I was talking about, you see here I have just uploaded my file. Then this is going to parse this information, make a prompt out of it, put it to Olama, then give a chat output. So I can just run a playground on it and say, I'll say how many tickets, give me the tickets by status. I can also run a sentiment analysis. I can ask it for suggestions on how a particular ticket has to be handled, etc. These are all local situations that come. See, I can. So these are all closed tickets. It's giving me the details. These are all on hold tickets. These are all open tickets. Like pretty straightforward for me. I can ask it for sentiment analysis. Give me a sentiment analysis with a score. Okay, because my laptop is a little faster, it's a M3 Max, that's why it's running quickly. You guys, when you try, it's going to be a little bit slow, so don't be disappointed with that. In that case, you can connect to Grok Cloud or this Google AI Studio, where you will be able to get that. Okay. So this is, for example, one of the sentimental score. Overall is only this much. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today, folks. So thank you so much for listening to my talk. People who want
Hello,
to
hello.
connect, please connect.
Yeah. Thank you, Ravindran. Have a round of applause for Ravindran. So, guys, now the fun comes.